everybody, welcome to another edition of the Dream Big, Pray Hard, Never Quit video series. Today we have with us Melinda Dean. Melinda and I go back, way back into high school. Her and my wife were very good friends in high school, same youth group, and kind of grew up with each other. I met her through my wife, and I have kind of followed her story on Facebook, and all the different things that this lady has done is amazing. And to see her go after and achieve her dreams and what she's been able to do, I just thought would be an amazing story for Dream Big, Pray Hard, Never Quit. So Melinda, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good.
Thank you so much for being part of this. And like all the other interviews, and I say this on all of them, I'm just going to kind of let you take it away, let you start where you want, and then I'm just going to interrupt you because that's what I do best.
Okay.
All right, so it's all you.
It's all me. So I guess probably what people see most is the tiny house that I built.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I've been living in it for 4 years now, the end of this month.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and absolutely would not go back to a big house if I didn't have to. So
now, I don't know if you want to tell people where you live.
I'm out in Colorado, so I have a view of the mountains every day, and I'm not very far from Rocky Mountain National Park, so get to get out in the mountains whenever I want to, really. So
how did you decide you wanted to do not just the tiny house, but travel all the places that you've traveled?
Well, I've always loved hiking and loved the outdoors. My dad was stationed out here in the Denver area in the Air Force when I was a kid, so fell in love with the mountains as a kid. And I've been trying to get back out here for the last 25 years.
Congratulations.
So it finally happened 2 years ago. So, and with all of that, I mean, I wouldn't have been able to move out here had I not built this tiny house. So that was kind of a lot of my reason for doing that. Because when I was back in Missouri, I was always like, oh, I've got this house. How would I sell it? How would I find a job? How would I move? How would all that work? So having the tiny house, it made it easy. I mean, I found out about the job I have now and was moved out here within a month. So it makes it easy to just pick up and go too. So.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So tell us about some of these adventures and kind of when you started taking them, because you've been all over the world, and kind of take us through, okay, what was your mindset? What did you do and say, okay, I'm going to do this, and then that led to this, and then this led to that? I mean, because most of your adult life, you've traveled all over the world and been to these amazing places.
Well, it really started with my dad being in the Air Force. So we lived overseas a lot in the Air Force. So I think that gave me a love for travel. When I was really young, I didn't really appreciate it because, we lived in Korea for 2 years and I hated it. But if I was to go back now, it would be a different story.
Right.
So I think in 2009, I hooked up with a hiking group in Missouri, and started doing a lot of backpacking, which I had never done before. Fell in love with it because I love the outdoors anyway. And being able to hike into remote locations where hardly anybody ever goes, and the views just blows my mind. It's just like hardly anybody sees this, and I get to experience it. And it almost brings tears to my eyes just thinking, standing on that mountaintop and just viewing what God created for us to enjoy, and that not many people get to see that.
So are you on your phone right now?
No, I'm on my laptop.
Can you take it and show us your view?
Sure. I don't know how well you'll be able to see the view,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, but
So,
wow.
and then it goes around. There's some mountains over there, and there's a pond on the property.
That's
So,
amazing. That is,
well,
and
let me.
that's a hammock there. Is that,
Yes, it's tied to
look
the
at you.
house.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So those are
Yeah.
the
Good.
foothills. So I'm like right at the foothills.
Okay. That's amazing. Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt your story. I
Oh,
was just thinking about that.
yeah, no worries. Where was I?
Well, I just want to let you know this is fake.
It's fake.
Yeah. I mean, I can be
I'm
in
like, you guys
space
have a
here in
lot of
about,
books.
yeah, I'm not that smart. I just want to look smart. But I
Okay.
can be in space in about 2 seconds.
Oh, well,
Yeah, but we won't go that. You actually live in the real deal. I make my stuff up.
gotcha. Well, sometimes you got to do that.
That's right.
So,
So you were in Missouri and you liked backpacking and you got
mhm,
hooked up with a group and
yep,
then I interrupted you.
yep. So, fell in love with backpacking, being able to see places that hardly anybody sees when you get into the backcountry. Um, so, my first trip was probably, I think, 2009 that I went to Torres del Paine in Patagonia. And I told myself, I want to do a big trip like this every year. But of course, that doesn't happen. It costs a little too much to go to different countries a lot. So I've gotten to where I do a big trip every year in the US somewhere. So,
Right.
like in September, about 5 other friends and I will be heading up to the Wind River Range in Wyoming. Beautiful, beautiful country. Um, there's so much to explore there. You would probably never be able to see it all. It's crazy. So basically, I think my outdoor experience and all my backpacking built my confidence in being able to do things because I learned so much about backpacking and how to survive and how to start fire and how to cook freeze-dried food. And then in the process, I've learned how to make my own food, freeze-dried food or dried food. So my confidence really got boosted from being able to do that and to be able to walk the trails and know where I was going and follow the GPS and get back to the car. So when I wanted to build a tiny house, I thought, oh, I could never do that. And I was like, it was just a dream. It was just like, maybe someday. And then I would like sketch out floor plans and stuff like that. And one day I was just like, nope, I'm gonna do it. I just knew like something spoke to me. And it was like, you're gonna do it. And I was like, I have no idea how. Friends would be like, how are you gonna do that? Where are you gonna get the money? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't know. I have no idea. And they're like, do you have building experience? I'm like, no, none at all. So for about a year, I did lots and lots and lots of research online. Collected information on everything from plumbing to electrical. Of course, my dad helped me with all the electrical. So
Now, wait a minute. Did you build this house?
I did everything except for the framing.
You're kidding. I did not know that.
Yeah. Well,
So
with help
you
from friends.
still,
Yeah.
yeah. See, I'm the guy who says, "Hey, can you build this for me and I'll pay you."
Yeah.
That's
I'm
I
always
did not
trying to
know
save
that.
money.
That's amazing. I did not know you did that. That's even adds more to the story. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think with all of my hiking experience, that gave me confidence to say, yes, I can do this, not knowing how to do any of it. So, but I think a lot of that goes back to my parents. They've always, encouraged us to learn how to do things on our own. My mom's creative. My dad, he always showed us how to change the oil in the car if we needed to, or change the tire, showed us where the antifreeze was, how to check the oil, all that stuff. You know, he
But
wanted,
you paid attention to that.
yeah.
See, my dad taught me how to do all that stuff, and I had no interest in it at all.
I
I
just
was
wanted to
like,
be able to take care of myself if I was on the side of the road. So, but it's much easier today. You've got people that'll just come out and get you.
yeah, that's true.
Unless I'm in some back roads out here
I was going
somewhere.
to say you're out in the remote area. I mean, they got
Yeah,
to find you first.
yeah. Well, I'm pretty close to some towns here, so I'm not too far from everything. So
So when you started hiking, was there a fear? Because we talk a lot about getting over your fears, and
right,
that's part of Dream Big, Pray Hard, Never Quit. Is whenever you start something, there's that fear, and that fear is what stops so many people
right,
from taking that next step. But once you get over that fear and take that, I call it a leap of faith or step of faith, and that faith that God wants you to have in Him, and you rest in His faith, everything else just kind of works out from there. But
right,
you have to take that leap first before everything else happens.
right. Well, when I started backpacking, you're carrying for an overnight 40 pounds, sometimes more. When I was in Patagonia, my pack was way too heavy. My gear has gotten lighter since then. But we were supposed to be out for 9 days, so I also had 9 days worth of food.
Right.
So, you go on these adventures and you're like, at first I was like, I'm gonna carry this pack and it's gonna take me somewhere and I'm gonna have everything I need. And
So you went
at
on a
first,
not.
just hiking down the trails, sometimes I get worried because the people I was with would just go on ahead and I'm like, well, which way am I supposed to turn? you know but after a while all that just goes away, and I keep my own apps on my phone, and I usually always carry a printed map so that I can always figure my way out. So it just all fades away. The more and more you do it, the more confident you get in everything that you do out there.
A 9-day trip
Mm-hmm.
in the woods
Yes.
with a backpack.
Yes.
I couldn't even imagine it. I mean, uh, I couldn't. I mean, you saw me trying to get to my cabin in a
Yeah.
car, and Marge and I thought the world was coming to an end, and you're
Right.
backpacking for 9 days in an area you've never been. How do you train for something like that?
A lot of people just go on a lot of hikes. A lot of people go to the gym all the time just to get physically fit for it. I do all kinds of research in the area before I go. Um, yeah, I mean, and to tell you this part of the whole backpacking experience, or you're just even hiking, a lot of it is mental.
Right.
A lot of it is very mental. I remember I was on the Kowlow Trail with three other ladies, and two of them never backpacked before. And we were probably halfway to the end, which was an 11-mile hike. We had stopped in the middle overnight on the way in. And we were hiking, and one of the girls behind me, she's like, Melinda, you are like a rock star. How do you act like nothing is wrong with you? I was like, girl, it's all mental. I'm hurting. I was like, I am hurting, but the destination is over there and I got to get there. So you have to kind of shut that off and just keep moving, one foot in front of the other. So,
What places have you? Where have you been? Give us some of the places, and maybe tell us a little bit about each one.
okay. So Torres del Paine in Patagonia, that's in Chile.
Okay.
That was an amazing trip. Um,
And
we
that was 9 days.
That one was, well, it was supposed to be 9 days, but a couple of our crew weren't able to make it, so we cut it down to 7 days, I think.
Still 7. I would have made it like 7 hours, if that.
No, you'd be surprised if you fall in love with the outdoors and the places that you get to go. You push yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then the next one was, I think the next year, it might have been 2 years, I went and climbed Kilimanjaro.
Wow.
I think that was 6 days or 7 days on the mountain climbing. So that one is very, very slow because we were in altitude. So
Right.
we start hiking at like 8 o'clock in the morning and finish by about 1. And then you just sit, well, we don't set up camp. The crew does, and you just hang out the rest of the day and just chill and enjoy the scenery.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've just been in the US. I've done 5-day trails here in the Rockies. Wind River Range, I've been up to Glacier, 7 days in Glacier in the backcountry, where we only saw like 2 trail crew guys and then 1 other backpacker. So we were way out there. I'm trying to think of any other places. I've done some stuff in Smoky Mountains.
Hey, I was just there.
Yeah, you were. Imagine being way out there in the woods.
Yeah, I viewed it from a balloon. It was beautiful, and it only took me about an hour to get the great view, and then we landed. I didn't
Oh,
have to climb anywhere.
yeah. Yeah. So you had it easy.
That's right. That's right. And we were scared to death to get in the balloon.
Now that would make me nervous, I think. For sure. For sure.
The scenery though, that you see has got to be breathtaking.
Oh, it's just amazing. The trip we did in Maroon Bells last year, we didn't do the typical 4-pass loop. We did one that wrapped around over by Capitol Peak, which is one of the 14ers out here. And it is more beautiful than the 4-pass loop. And we woke up, we actually slept at about 11,600 feet one night because the winds were so bad, and we got to an area where there was a drop off and it was just scree along the trail, and we're like, we don't even know how far we're going to have to go to get to another possible camp spot. So we just backed up and hunkered down in between some trees in a little kind of groove area. But we woke up to snow the next morning when we weren't supposed to have snow. But it was the most beautiful thing. And then when the sun came up, the sunrise was just breathtaking. And you could see the pass that we came over the day before. And we all just stood there for like half an hour just watching it. And we're like, who gets to see this?
Yeah, and people don't.
Yeah.
To be able to see the beauty that God has created. I mean, look, where most people live in a city, and they're in the humdrum of life every day. Right. And it's go to work, get paid, pay the bills, try to have some life in the midst of paying all the bills and everything like that.
Well, and that's part of why I do this, because it's like, once you have the gear, yes, it can be expensive, but once you have the gear, it's pretty much free. You just get your butt up and get out there.
And I just love your lifestyle. And in saying that, I guess I'm more inspired that you had the fortitude to get out there and do it.
Right.
To go after your dream, just to say, hey, I don't want to be a 9-to-5er stuck in an office or stuck somewhere and living the life that so many people live and dread it. I mean, because let's be for real. I know a lot of people in the business world doing stuff that I used to do, and all they talk about is getting off work, the next vacation, and doing the next big thing. They don't talk about how much they enjoy life.
Right, right.
And you enjoy life.
Oh yeah.
And it's
I had my boring days. Don't get me wrong. Or I have my days where I've got to do chores around the house or something.
Exactly.
But I do have a 9-to-5 job, but I'm also lucky enough that about 4 months after moving here, I was able to work from home most all the time.
Right.
So that saves me an hour and a half commute one direction because my
Whoa.
office
Yeah.
is in Denver. So I'm very thankful for that because it gives me more time at home and more time to go places and do other things. So
But even with that 9 to 5, look what you get to come home to.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I
You know,
can't complain. You know, I've had friends that are like, "Oh, I don't want to move to Colorado because it'll just ruin the excitement of it all." And it's like, every time I look at those mountains, it puts a smile on my face because this is where I'm meant to be.
and it's fun because people kind of, I'm a city boy
Hmm.
who loves the outdoors,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense. Now, I don't want to go out there and do all the work that you have to do in the outdoors, but I love being
That's
up
why
in the
you had a cabin last week.
That's right, exactly. You know, but I love seeing the mountains and being in there and God's creation of what He's been able to do. And when you live in a city, you just don't get to see stuff like that.
Right. Right.
And to be able to do that every day is a great reminder of the beauty that God's created for us. And again, and I'm going to say it because I just want to make sure people understand this. Living your dream and where you want to be in life, you've got to take the risk.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to just say, okay, this is what I want to do. This is where God's called me to be. How do I get there?
Right.
And that's where the fear comes in.
Yeah,
Okay, and God's
that's where I had that fear probably the year before. It just came to my head that yeah, you're gonna build this tiny house. It was always that fear before of I could never do that. How in the world would I do that? And it was just like one day it just hit me. Yes, you're gonna do it. How, I don't know, but a couple of months later, everything just fell into place. And it's just like my move out here. You know, I came out the year before I got the job and I was looking for places to park the house, and I had little flyers to pass out and stuff, and nothing worked out, nothing panned out. I was supposed to meet up with one person down in Durango area and talk to her about some property she had, and she never called me back. I'm sitting down there waiting and never heard anything. So just nothing worked out, and I was a little disappointed, but at the same time, I started driving home, and I was still in Colorado, but I was away from the mountains, and it was God's voice. I know it was God's voice. He just, all he said, I'm going to tear up because every time I tell this story, but all I heard was, be still. Just be still. It wasn't the right time, so it didn't work out. So I went home and I was fine. I quit looking. I quit doing everything. I just went on with life. And a year later, I come out here to do some backpacking with a friend, and another friend had told me about this job. So when I got back, I sent a resume in, and I was out here within a month. So
it's
I mean,
God's
it's
timing
God's
is
timing for sure.
right. That's right. It's funny. I was actually talking to someone earlier today um, about hearing God's voice, and that can be such a cliche, and
And it's
but
His literal voice. It's
exactly.
something that speaks to you, and you know that it's coming from Him.
Yep, yep. And it's amazing. And if you've never experienced it, and I'm gonna be honest, I've only experienced once in my life,
Mm-hmm.
um, but you never forget.
Right.
And it kind of answers all these questions
Mm-hmm.
about everything you've ever had. And then when you hear that voice and everything just kind of makes sense.
Right.
It
In my
falls into place.
situation, it literally was still. You know, the words were be still, but it was still. It was just like calm, and everything just was gone. You know, it was just any thought, any worry, whatever it was just gone. It was still, yeah, I'm going to move to Colorado someday. I knew that was going to happen, but it just wasn't the right time. So
That's
I'll
I love
move.
it. That's hey, I was crying on my last interview, and that's the first time I've ever done that. So I was like, whoa, I'm gonna have to edit this out.
I don't know if
But
you'll find it.
um, I just and I had a question for you, and I forgot it because I started on something else.
I started
Um,
interrupting you.
that's okay. That's okay. Um, I can edit this part out. Don't worry about it. I'm trying to remember that question, and it has completely. It
Mhm.
was something about your tiny house, and I completely forgot about it. Um, okay, I remember what it is now.
Okay.
So living in this, I'm gonna act like we just keep going. So living in the tiny house, I guess, from someone who lives in the city, he doesn't have to worry about water and sewage and all that stuff. How do you get the supply out there? I mean, do you have water hookups where you live and stuff
I,
like that?
yeah, I have a water hookup, um, but I also have solar panels.
Oh,
So
cool.
how well you can see that. So I run off of solar, and so I have issues in the winter a little bit, but I have a generator for backup. So I think I just probably need some extra batteries or another panel to get me through the short winter days, especially when they're cloudy winter days.
Oh yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
bet. So I guess another question. See, these are the answers you don't get on TV. So you're in a tiny house and a big storm comes up.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I know you don't get hurricanes out there, but let's just say you get a, does it shake? What happens?
Oh yeah, it shakes. I almost think that the house shook more during storms when I was in Missouri, but Colorado is known for being really windy. And last night the winds picked up to about 20 miles an hour. And so the house was swaying while I was in bed. But it doesn't bother me. I mean, even whenever I would fly somewhere, people would be nervous about turbulence. But I was like, I
Right.
kind of like them.
Yeah. See, I hate
Like
flying.
a
The
soothing
turbulence.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I could handle the house, I think, shaking because I'm on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
But turbulence in the plane, yeah, not good with that.
Well, it would be
Uh,
smart for me to anchor it to the ground just in case some big winds come, but I haven't done it.
that's where my next question was. Is it anchored somehow?
It is not right now. So most mobile homes require, like just mobile home parks and
Right.
stuff like that, they require you to anchor them down. And I probably should just in case, but it'll cost a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. I
So
bet.
I keep putting it off, and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't put it off because there's going to be a wind that comes along one day.
And as you're rolling down the side of a mountain, you're going like, you know what? I really should have anchored it down.
Yeah. It's like those tents. You got to anchor those tents down so they hold up to those winds.
And that was another question I wanted to ask you. See, I'm glad you said that. So you're on a 9-day, 7-day hiking trip
Hmm.
and you stop and camp. I mean, so you're setting up tents. Kind of take me through that process.
Set up your tent. Now, if you're in bear country, you're supposed to get your food out first and go and hang it somewhere or store it somewhere. If you just have canisters, you can just take it and store it somewhere.
Okay, guys, that's very important. You need to, if you go hiking and there's a grizzly somewhere, uh, be sure you don't, sleep with it. Sleep with the food. That could be dangerous.
Never. It's always like a triangle. You sleep in one area, you cook downwind, and then you store your food in another area. So, bear country, you always put your food away first. Then you set up your tent, Then sleeping mat, you air up your sleeping mat, pull your sleeping bag out of its stuff sack. So we stuff everything. And usually, those stuff sacks are waterproof just in case, you fall in a creek or something like
Right.
that. Your sleeping bag is dry. So then we'll go a lot of places like in Missouri, you don't have to like do the whole triangle thing. So then we just get our food out, we sit there, cook dinner, get a fire going. Not this time of year, but in Missouri and Arkansas, we hiked all winter long. So
How cold is that? Well, I mean, in Missouri. Well,
um,
go ahead.
I think I camped out on some snow once by a creek, and it got down to 14 degrees.
I'm speechless. I'm like,
Yeah,
really?
but
I love the cold weather, but I don't want to sleep in it.
with the right gear, it's not a problem. So, yeah, I have great gear and stayed warm all night.
And
And
woke up to
that's
snow.
when you get up for breakfast and a coffee, and I get the fire going first, and then I sit down to get my coffee going.
Still, I mean, waking up to, you're hiking, you wake up, you get your coffee, and you just get to stare out into nature.
hmm
That's, you know, that would be pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
It's pretty sweet. That's why I keep doing it.
Yeah,
I keep looking for that place to set my tent where I've got the best view.
I just I love the fact that you have lived your life and done it on your terms.
Mm,
And just so many people can't say that.
yeah.
Um, yeah, example for me, the first 24 years of my adult life, I worked in business 70 hours a week, trying to make money, trying to do this, trying to do all the things that, you're taught to do.
Right.
And, I wasn't miserable. I had a wonderful wife, raised my girls, and that was fun. But there was always something missing,
Yeah.
you know. And I think so many of us feel that something missing and never go after what it is. And
Right.
that's why I do this. I want to remind people life is not just about going to work, paying the bills, and not having any fun.
Right.
Each one of us have a purpose, and I feel if you go after your dreams, God's purpose comes out for
Absolutely.
your life. And the past 7-8 years of my life where I've been teaching has probably been like most of your life, to where I'm like, I get to do this. I'm doing God's work, and I'm absolutely having a blast doing it. And I don't dread anything anymore.
Right.
And for people to be able to feel that, I want everyone to feel it like you feel it every day. I mean, don't get me wrong. We all have our times when we're like, oh dear God,
Yeah.
so it happens no matter what you do. But in the big scheme of things, it's a it's a wonderful life, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and I like to have people like you on explaining that, so people can see there's people out in the world that do this, that go after their dreams and live their dreams, and do live their life on their terms, not on some big boss's terms and stuff. And I know you have to work. We all have to work. But enjoying what you're doing and enjoying your life is just something, again, that so many people don't have the opportunity to do. And when they do, they realize, why didn't I do this my whole life?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I also learned that with my job, even if it's not something that I am like excited about, I get to go to work today, Um, I think I've always made sure that I had that work and life balance. That, you know, I even had a boss one day. He goes, "Oh, I need this fixed. Can you fix this?" And I had already had my computer closed up, bag on my shoulder, and I said, "Is it a big error, or can it wait till 9 o'clock in the morning?" And he's like, "Well, if you could do it first thing in the morning, it's good." I was like, "All right," because you have to set that precedence of, okay, if it's not that important, I'll get to it tomorrow, because otherwise that just bleeds into your life.
And I wasn't like that. And I paid the price for that because people would take advantage of the fact of, oh, he'll do it, she'll do it, whoever will do it. And they'll stay till, 12, 14 hours to make sure everything's done.
Right.
And then they forgo their life.
Right.
And I think that's a great point. You've got to set your boundaries. You got to know when to say, you know what, it's my time now. And I'm not saying be ugly about it, but have respect for yourself as well as respect for the company or whoever it is you're working for. And I think that's a excellent point that you made. And you handled it well instead of saying, "No, jerk, I'm off." It was, it was one of those, can it wait? Or does it have to be done right now? And the way you handled it was awesome.
Right.
Anything else you want to add?
I don't know. I mean, just like the tiny house, I didn't know it was a dream of mine until later in life, but I knew the biggest dream in the whole process was getting to Colorado and being able to live near the mountains. Just, never stop pursuing what you want in life. It'll happen, maybe not when you want it to, but when it's right.
And what a great thing to end on, because that's absolutely true. We all want a lot of stuff. And I don't even want to say stuff, but there's things that we want that God wants to give us, but not right now, not right when you want it. When his timing's right, that's when it will happen.
Right. I knew it was something that I wanted, but I also knew it was something that God wanted to give me. So, because otherwise he wouldn't have put it in my heart.
Right.
So
exactly. Melinda, thank you so much for being on Dream Big, Pray Hard, Never Quit. Can't thank you enough. What an awesome time to get to talk to you and reacquaint ourselves, because it's been a long time. And I'm glad you got to say hi to Marjorie real quick. She actually had to, I think, go to work. And continue to share your life on Facebook, because it's awesome. And you're reaching people, and people are watching you live your life. Mm-hmm. And you're an inspiration to people. And I don't even think you realize how much of an inspiration you are to so many people, because you're an inspiration to me. And I just saw it on Facebook, and Margie would show me everything. Yeah. And that's awesome. So, just continue to be you and inspire all the people that you inspire, because it is amazing. And you don't even, like I said, you don't even realize the people you're inspiring, and that could be your purpose, and you're not even sure, you don't even realize it.
Right.
So thank you again. And guys, remember to always dream big, pray hard, never quit.